How do we educate people about cannabis? I mean, it's obviously always a big challenge to shift public opinion and to change and reframe previously held beliefs. And this will take time. I mean, I think it has to be a multi-pronged approach. Personally, as I've always stated, I'm not an advocate of recreational use of cannabis. I certainly don't admonish or have anything against those who want to use it recreationally, as long as they do it safely and they're an adult and they're not driving their car after they smoke a joint. Just like I shouldn't be driving a car after I have a glass of wine. But obviously my focus is on the medicinal value of cannabis to help displace other more dangerous drugs, in my view, and I think that there's a lot of growing and really irrefutable evidence now that that's happening. So I think part of it is educating on the medical stream of cannabis, and I think now that we have recreationally legal cannabis in Canada, we have to spend a lot of energy now educating youth about not using and about the potential of addiction with recreational use, which is of course where the addiction potential exists, when it's being used specifically for the purpose of intoxication. So it has to be broad-based. I think there's a lot of evidence that youth respond better to being talked with, not talked at, and there's a lot of studies going on about peer-to-peer education, rather than having old farts like me trying to wave my finger and tell them don't smoke weed. I mean, that never works. So, but it's going to be a long-term investment in educating both on safe recreational use, as responsible use, obviously relating to impairment and driving, but also highlighting, in my view, the medicinal value of what I think is going to become a separate market. I think over time we're going to see medical cannabis really differentiating itself and being more things like wafers, gum formulations, and quantifiable, measurable, refined cannabinoids that are more in line with what a physician would typically think of as medicine, and not simply buy a bag of AK-47 and that's my medicine, right? I mean, that's not really medicine in the view of most physicians. So I hope that was a bit of a circuitous answer, but it's a complex question. So it comes from my whole career. I mean, I worked in a busy urban emergency room and saw tons of people coming in pain and being given narcotics, and often we were advised that these were safe, and seeing people with unmet pain needs. And then, of course, during the 90s and 2000s, we were prescribing opiates, and we've all seen the devastation. I mean, opiates are now the #1 killer of people under 50 ahead of accidents for the first time since we climbed out of the trees in human history. Accidents are no longer the #1 cause of death under 50. It's opiate overdose in North America. So there's a massive problem, and the jury is in with respect to cannabis being able to displace opiates. And yes, there are some dangers and mitigated risks with cannabis, but clearly it's not even in the same league as opiates. So it's really about risk mitigation for me first and foremost, and then all the exciting potential we're seeing for wound healing, inflammation, anxiety, and many of the other things. So that's my passion, because my background is in ER and pain management. So.